Guys, I've been thinking about the way that the narrative that I tell myself has fully shifted in the last 7 months. And it did unfortunately take like a giant brick to the face a metaphorical brick to the face in order to have the narrative shift. But now that I am aware of the shift and make the conscious choice to shift the story that I tell myself about myself, it's changed my life. I mean, it's raised my standards. It has changed how much I think I deserve. It's changed how I perceive myself. It's changed how I pursue my goals. It's changed my friendship with myself. Like, I have this growing, beautiful friendship with myself. The way I talk to myself has fully shifted. Like, there's just so many things that have changed my life. And it's all because the narrative that I tell myself has shifted. And I wouldn't be a good friend if I didn't share with you guys exactly how I did that. So while we're talking about this, I really want you to think about the narrative that you tell yourself. Like, what story about you do you constantly have running in your brain in the background? I want to read a passage to you guys out of Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima. She is the founder of It Cosmetics, and she wrote this book that's like all about how to believe you are enough and transform your life, is what it says. And I mean, first of all, I love it. Like, highly recommend this book. I'm not done. In the beginning stages of reading it still. I'm like few chapters in, but I think it's really impactful and it's really good. So I want to read this passage to you guys that she shares from her friend Ed Milet, who is an entrepreneur, and he shares this like really awesome sales tactic. But you can literally use it for all of life. And I just felt like it was really relevant and really interesting. And I love when things sound real and believable. You know what I mean? Because like a lot of the time when we hear things like this, it's kind of like, okay, great. Like either it's too woo woo, so you're like, okay, yeah, great, whatever. Or you just think like, but that's not realistic, dude. So I wanted to share this with you because when you can take what actually works in a sales environment and apply it to your life, for me it just made it feel a lot more believable for me. So let me read it to you. So it says, people don't have to believe in what you're actually selling. They just have to believe that you believe in what you're selling. Worthiness works the same way. Here's what I mean. People don't have to understand you or believe in you to connect with you. They just have to believe you understand you and you believe in you. And if you know deep down inside that you're showing up as someone different from who you are, then you will emit an energy that reveals that you don't believe in yourself because you're not being you. And this means you'll not be able to feel a true connection with someone else because you know and they feel that you're not you. In other words, you have to be you and know you're being the real you to have true human connection. You have to feel worthy of being who you are. Otherwise, no matter how fancy or perfect or conformed you show up, you'll always feel disconnection, and so will they. Let's say you want to change how you show up in the world. Like you don't want to be an awkward person socially anymore. You don't want to be consumed by social anxiety anymore. Like you want to show up and be able to command a room and have confidence and all of this stuff. But when you go to the next event, if you believe that you're this awkward, socially anxious person, that is how you're just automatically going to show up. Like you have to genuinely believe that you are a confident person that commands a room, and then the reality follows. The thoughts come first, and then the reality will follow. And then through your thoughts changing, when your reality changes, you'll build evidence of that being true that will allow you to believe in it more and more. But you have to just change the thought first in order to allow the reality to come through so that you can continue to gain belief in that said thing. I've been listening a lot recently to Neville Goddard and Joe Dispenza. Neville Goddard is who talks about the law of assumption, and Dr. Joe Dispenza is a neuroscientist that talks about how the way we think and the way our brain works is how we manifest. And I just think they're really interesting, and the way that we really it's common sense almost, like that it makes so much logical sense to what they talk about, like this is a real thing, that it makes it so that manifestation isn't some like magical genie in a jar. It's literally like a real thing that we are capable and have the power to do. So like I'm gonna pull some of the things that I've learned from them. I was listening to the book called The Secret that's about manifestation. So I want to share with you guys some of the things that I've been learning and my own insight on this, because again, like I just really do think that it is very realistic and very like we're all very capable of this. And I'm going to explain exactly why it makes total fucking sense. Before we dive right in, make sure to do your Wellish friends a favor and make sure to rate and review the show. It really helps the show out a lot. It gets the show out to more of our Wellish besties who are like-minded to us and need these reminders that you do not have to be perfect in order to be good enough. So make sure you rate and review the show so we can push it out to more people. Do your due diligence by other people deed this week by rating and reviewing the show so other people can find it and feel better about themselves and their own lives. And then obviously we have to do things for our own best interest as well, take care of ourselves. Make sure you subscribe to the show so that you do not miss one Wellish episode that comes out on Mondays and Thursdays now. Season 4, baby. We're in fucking season 4. This is crazy. I'm so excited. This is so fun. I think I've got really high hopes for season 4. I think good things are on the horizon for Wellish in this 4th year of her existence. So good stuff. I want to say I really appreciated all of the love that Wellish got on her birthday on Friday. So many of you reached out and commented and liked and supported the show and shared the show. And it's just, you guys are just the coolest friends I've ever had. You're just so incredible. So I love you so much. Thank you for that. And Wellish says thank you too. She's very grateful. Let me tell you why I got so invested in this, is because the other day I was at my mom's and I was talking about how I said these words out loud, and I thought them and I felt them and I really believed them and like wanted them. I literally said 5 years ago, before I met my ex-fiance, I had just started at the job that I met him at, and I said out loud, I really want to be with a douchebag that is all about me. That is literally the words that I used. And that is exactly what I received. And I just think, so I say this to my mom, and my mom was like, you said that? And I was like, yes. Like, and I fully remember like wanting that, wishing for that. And then him and I started dating, and I meet him and we start to date. And I just think, and so she was like, you're a powerful creator, dude. And like there's just so many different examples of things like that. Like the fact that I'm living in a studio apartment in the city, in like a little neighborhoody area on the north side. Like those, like I said that I wanted to do that. Like I just feel so, I don't know. It's just so bizarre. So I thought, okay, well, if my thoughts are that powerful on accident, like then I think I need to sharpen this skill and figure it out. So that's how I got on this like kick, all right? So our thoughts are these creative forces. Sounds magical. Sounds like, okay, well, like I want more money. I want a nice car. I want a good relationship. Like why, like I can say those and think those things. Like obviously that's not how that works. That's not possible. But here's the thing, is that the story we tell ourselves in our head becomes the framework that our mind and our body is like looking for in the outside world. And that is something that is like scientifically a thing. Like your brain is biologically wired to search for evidence to support what it believes is true. It's called confirmation bias. Okay, so let's talk about why this matters. And I want to talk to you about 2 points of view, one from Joe, one from Neville. So, Joe, he says that when you repeat a thought enough, your body chemically experiences it as if it's already real. That means your story doesn't just live in your head, it changes your emotions, your habits, and then your physical state. And Neville Goddard, like I said, he talks about the law of assumption. So, he says that assumption hardens into fact. Whatever you assume to be true about yourself, your worth, your relationships, your opportunities, eventually shows up in your reality. And every day we walk around with this invisible mental script that is telling us how to perceive neutral things that are happening in the world. But because of like your thoughts and past experiences and perceptions that have been created over the entirety of your life, you then interpret these neutral events to have ulterior meaning. So that means that if you had a different perception, one person can, I mean, we know that one person can perceive the same thing. I'm sorry, let me reword. Multiple people can perceive the same thing in several different ways. So naturally, you could have different perceptions of something, but you need to consciously choose to notice your perception and alter it to what you want it to be. And then that is what is created in the reality. So, like, for example, you could say, like, so let's say somebody leaves you on red, okay? You interpret that to mean that you suck. You interpret that to mean that they don't like you, that there's something that you could have done better, that if you were prettier, if you didn't say that weird thing, if you weren't trying so hard, if you maybe were being too clingy, like maybe if I did something differently, you're totally blaming yourself for it, right? And that's why that thing happened. Or you could perceive it that that person just isn't in alignment with you. They're not written into your story, your fate story. Like they're not the person that you're supposed to be with. So they're just being removed from your life, that they're just not in alignment with you. I mean, like, we don't even have to make it universe and God or whatever it is you believe in, but like literally just like you could perceive that person's not in alignment with you and be grateful for that, because it leaves the space for someone to come in that is more in alignment with you. And then you get to just know that and move on with your self worth intact and not be consumed by it. It's raining outside. You're pissed because it's depressing and soggy, and I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and my plans are ruined now, and nothing ever goes my way. Or you could say, oh, it's raining outside. It's so cozy. I can cuddle up with a blanket and drink my hot chocolate. Or, I wasn't supposed to, for whatever reason, that event didn't work out. And now I get an excuse to stay home. I'm so excited about that. And I get a free day that I can just rest and relax and focus on myself. Or maybe I can go do something else with the people that I was gonna go do these plans that are now ruined because of the rain outside. Like we get to experience a museum, or we could have more intimate friendship time and go to dinner or watch a movie at home. Like that, like you just see it as something cozy and nice and good. Or you can see it as being a victim and everything's negative and everything sucks. You failed a job interview. You suck. And if you had more skills, or you had a better resume, or if you had more experience, that maybe then they would have thought you were good enough and you got the job at that point. Or you can say that job just isn't in alignment with me, and the right job that's meant for me, I trust that will show up in my life. The point is, your narrative doesn't reflect reality, it creates reality. You don't see the world as it is, you see it through the lens of the story you're already telling yourself. I mean, let me give you a real life example of this. Like when my engagement ended, I was that person that every person from it's not even an exaggeration, every person from every corner of my life congratulated me. Like, they were all like, thank God he was, insert some negative opinion that they had always had about him. And now I see those things, But that entire time, I mean, I used to say, like, how grateful I was. We would literally talk about how, like, lucky we were that we weren't settling. We would talk about, like, how we had something that most people don't have, and we were just like we loved each other, and we were meant to be, and how lucky we were, and like, and I wanted to believe that so bad. Like, I wanted him to be the person that I thought he was in my head, that I ignored red flags and I ignored things that like weren't good and just continued to believe who I wanted to believe he was. You know what I mean? And I mean, now that those rose-colored glasses are off, I can see the truth, you know? And it's just so bizarre. I mean, that goes for so many things, like so many relationships that didn't work out, so many friendships, so many jobs, so many like just simple things throughout your life that just totally change how you view and experience your life because of the story that you tell yourself in your head. Like, that you are creating it to be whatever you want it to be. Everything is perception, and everyone's perception is different. And you have the power to shift yours into whatever the fuck you want it to be. And I just think that's so cool. And if that's true, that means that the most important thing that we all are always trying to do, which is control everything in our life, like control our external circumstances, control our relationships, control how people treat us, all of these things, we're always trying to control everything. That's not the skill that we need to be focusing on. Okay, yeah, okay, like we know that. The only thing we can control is ourselves, blah, blah. But like, I mean, are you getting that deep rooted meaning now? Like, that we're not just hearing the only thing we can control is ourselves, but like that's like the deep understanding of that with this at the forefront of your mind. The skill that we need to focus on is noticing the narrative that we're telling ourselves and being brave enough to ask if it's serving us. Okay, so here's the other thing is that I have learned this recently and I'm super excited about this, is that we sometimes, a lot of the time, are confusing our inner critic with logic. Okay? That our inner critic is not always so blatantly obvious, that it is calling you fat and ugly and you suck and it's your fault that people don't like you and it's your fault that bad things happen. Like, we can recognize that inner critic sometimes easily, sometimes not, but that inner critic just seems more like catchable. The inner critic that it gets smarter, okay? Like, it is trying to deceive you. It's you trying to deceive you. So like, it's going to sound believable and find evidence that the things that it's saying to you are true, and it's literally how your brain is wired to do that. So we've already talked about that. We've got that down. So it will hide in your logic. Like, it will just say things as fact, and because we have enough logical evidence to believe that it's true, we just don't even question it. We just are like, oh, well, yeah. But like, that's still fully your inner critic. And I want to talk about this too, because the idea that our thoughts shape our reality makes it feel like it's scary to think that, like, it's not possible. Like, how am I never going to have a negative thought in my life ever again? Like, it's just not sustainable. It's not realistic. But it's not about, and I've talked about this so many times, like, it's not about changing it from negative to positive, because you're lying to yourself at that point. That's toxic positivity. Like, you don't believe in you. And going back to Ed Milet's quote from the beginning, that if you don't believe it, you're not going to be able to actually execute it. So you have to find a way to believe what you're telling yourself. And the truth is that you will think negative things in your life. Like, you have feelings, you have thoughts, you're a human being. Like, it just comes with it. But to allow this concept of your thoughts create your reality to become effective and still live with negative thoughts means that you have to build your self compassion. You have to build that muscle and focus on that, not focus on noticing and switching it to something positive, but noticing it and aligning it with what your desired reality is and what those thoughts would be compared to just saying the opposite of the thought that you had. I wrote down a couple of things that we might be telling ourselves if our inner critic is disguising itself as logic. Like, so things like you're not qualified for that job. Look at your resume. You know what I mean? Like, you'll see a list of qualifications on Indeed and you don't apply for the job because you just think that, like, you don't have the experience level to do that, even though it sounds like a job that you would really enjoy. No one asks how you're doing or recognizes you, so that means that they don't care about you, that nobody in your life cares about you, or maybe that you aren't worth caring about. Maybe you've done something wrong as a friend, partner, child, parent, whatever, and that just seems like, well, that is what it is. They just don't care about me. This is how I've always showed up. So that's what people expect from me. So I can't show up as someone new. I'd seem ridiculous. Like, what that feeling that you think that, like, you want to show up as this new thing and you just feel like embarrassed to do that because you feel like other people will recognize the change in behavior and that you should feel embarrassed by making that shift, or that they'll call you out or say something weird. So then your logic is just like, well, we can't do that. Like, they would know. Like, that would be awkward and weird. So, or we can't do that. Or another good one, this one's my favorite, is that you don't initiate sex. You can't do it because you don't have Megan Fox, Jessica Rabbit, Siren vibes, that you'll just embarrass yourself if you do that. Even if it's with your long-term partner, it's like you still feel like you don't have that energy. So, like, you can't engage in that behavior. You never have in the past. So it kind of goes back to the last one that, like, the change would be different. But, like, I mean, first of all, if we're speaking woman to woman here and you're initiating sex with a man, I mean, they'll put their dick in a hole in the wall. You know what I mean? Like, so there's just about nothing that you can do. I mean, we all know that. But it's just another example of how we stop ourselves from doing things because we confuse our inner critic with logic. And it's just so easy to confuse because it doesn't even sound as, like, sharp and intense as I'm making it sound right now. Like, I'm not saying to myself in my head, like, oh, I can't initiate because I don't have Megan Fox energy and that would be embarrassing and awkward and weird. You're not saying that. It's just like this subtle knowing. It's just this, like, way that you operate, and you can't go against what is already true, what you already know to be true. And it feels true because the logic is so grounding. Like, it just feels so safe and reliable to be able to just turn to logic and rely on that. But most of the time, it's just fear in disguise. Like, it's our brain trying to keep us in familiar territory, even if that familiar territory is painful or it's small. Like, again, going back to the example of my ex, like, I fully perceived him to just be wonderful, and just, I loved him so much. I thought he was, I just thought we were meant to be together. I thought he was intelligent. I thought he was funny, like, fun to be around. I thought, like, these things that, like, now that the rose colored glasses are off, like, none of those things are true. It's just so, weird. Like, you can make anything true. You know what I mean? Like, you can, if you're invested enough in something, you can make it true. And even when I was given examples that those things weren't true, I had an excuse for them. I used logic to disguise that truth because it was too terrifying to think that I was that invested in somebody or had so committed so much time or energy to a person that actually wasn't in alignment with me. So I wouldn't even allow myself to consider that as a possibility when opposing evidence presented itself. Now, there was obviously like other factors that I was like being manipulated and gaslit the entire time. And like, I just like that absolutely blows my mind because again, that's not how I perceived that to be happening. But it's very obvious now that is what was happening. So like, obviously, I'm not saying it's not my fault. You know what I mean? That happened. I was fed an illusion. I mean, even he told me that he wasn't, a good person. He told me he had no empathy. Like he told me all these things like straight out of his own mouth. But like, I just continued to, want to believe what I wanted to believe because it was too scary to confront the truth. So that's the reality that I created for myself until the truth prevailed and I was divinely protected. Like, let's call it what it is. Like, by some grace of God, this happened for me and I was able to see the truth because the truth does always prevail. But like, I mean, I rode that wave for 5 years believing what I perceived. And it goes into like the real, genuine, deep rooted beliefs that I had about myself. Like, what I think I deserve. I thought, like, if I picture the man that now we're going to speak at how I'm talking to you guys, like the man I will be with one day, the man I will marry, had, I thought before that I wasn't worthy of that person, that like there was no way that somebody like him would want somebody like me, that I don't deserve that. And now that's another thing that I have had a new deeper understanding of, is when people say that like you accept the love you think you deserve. Like, I fully understand that now. I didn't think I could do better. I didn't think that kind of a person would want to be with me because of the things that I believed about myself. Like, another deep rooted thing, like my role and the reason that I was with somebody like him was because I wanted so badly to be chosen. Like, I met him at a place in my life that I was so desperate for love that I accepted anybody despite red flags. Like, the fact that he wanted to be around me constantly and adored me, like what I loved about him was that he loved me. So like that was and there was just like so many factors to the relationship that fed that wound, that filled that gash, filled that hole, put band-aids over that wound. But like, it wasn't genuine, real healing that I had to do internally, that I was given the opportunity to when all of those band-aids were fucking ripped away off and my wound of that was just wide open, that I couldn't ignore it. That's when I actually started to heal it and like really feel like just so much. It's a different experience inside my body that's happening than it was 7 months ago. And I mean, I can't express gratitude enough. Like, it's just so incredible. I don't even know. I just feel so blessed that I'm given this opportunity to like have this like revelation, this experience. Like, I don't know. Now I'm getting on my soapbox, but I just feel really good about that. So then, though, how do we tell? Because if it's all, you were doing all of this perception in order to not look at what we're afraid to actually look at, how do we tell what is our inner critic versus our true self? Like, if we're so committed to believing a certain thing that could just so be not true and how it really is in reality, to the point that like we are building our lives off of these perceptions, how can we tell the difference between our true self and that inner critic that's disguising itself as logic? I think the biggest thing is thinking about how our body feels, okay? Like, what is our physical reaction to the thing that's happening? If you haven't already, go listen to the episode with Alicia Capani, because she's a mind body healer and theta healer, and she talks about this exact concept. And I just love the way she worded everything. But essentially, when you are taking inspired action is what you need to be listening to, compared to like trying to like make real things. You like force yourself that you just it's a feeling. Things feel heavy, they feel clunky, you feel tightness in your chest or wherever it is that you feel your anxiety, or you just feel this like this rock, like you just don't want to do it, like I just don't feel like doing that thing. It also reminds me of, have you seen those pictures on the internet that are like nobody cares, and it's like somebody that's like super depressed and saying like nobody cares, like oh my god, like I hate myself, I hate my life. Or then like the one underneath it is like nobody cares, woo, I can do anything I want because nobody cares, nobody cares, we're all just on a big floating rock, I'll live whatever life I want to live. Like what kind of a life difference it would be between those two concepts. Like if you're saying that from a negative place, you're probably going to spend a lot of time in isolation. You might not be taking good care of your body. Like you might not have the energy to exercise or spend time outside or make yourself a good whole foods meal. You'll just, be eating out and eating fast food all of the time. You're probably not trying new things or going out and going to new places. You're probably living your life more like Groundhog Day because you don't have the energy to like want to go out and experience life, because you're approaching everything from this mindset of like nobody cares, everything sucks, I'm super depressed, compared to taking nobody cares and using it as an opportunity to live fearlessly, like being able to speak your mind and say what you want and try new things and put yourself out there and talk to strangers and be adventurous and spontaneous, just because nobody cares and nothing matters. You can show up as yourself however you want and feel proud of that person. It would be a completely, like, those are two completely different life experiences, same concept, different perceptions. It's crazy. And once you realize that your inner critic is using your logic against you, you can start to question it, which really leads me into one of the deepest truths that I've already touched on a little bit, is just that we do not get what we logically know. We get what we believe we deserve. So you may have heard that phrase. Heard me use it earlier, that we accept the love that we think we deserve, but it does truly go so much deeper than just romantic relationships. Like we get the life that we think we deserve. Everything in our life is like that. And the catch is that you don't live at the level that you logically know. You live at the level that you deeply believe. And there's a difference between like understanding that, like I understand that I accept the love I think I deserve. I have the life that I think I deserve. And like I logically know that like I deserve great things, because like I know I'm supposed to say that. I know I'm supposed to feel like that about me. And there is a difference. So there's a difference between like the surface level, like knowing it, and like the deep, true, genuine, subconscious belief that you deserve great things, and like knowing deeply what that saying itself even means, like truly genuinely grasping this concept, understanding it and living by it. Because I feel like I keep talking about my ex in this episode, but it's just such a good example of this exact thing. That wasn't even like my thought when I was planning this episode. Like I was not connecting it to him or that at all. It just like keeps coming up because it's just like such an example of it, that like because I'm talking to you guys about this like for creating my new life, like creating my better future, like manifesting my dream home, manifesting my dream career, manifesting my dream husband, manifesting like how I want to being able to travel, like how I want to live my life, being financially abundant. Like I'm talking about like the great, wonderful, awesome things that I would like to achieve, and like how I'm going to be the powerful creator I am and make those things happen through my thoughts, because my thoughts create my reality. But I just like I can't help but like point out these examples of these like the way I used to think in order to show the difference, because it's just so like normal and logical. And that's why I'm sharing like these stories of myself doing this, because of the way it just like so logically and like I didn't I wasn't some like horrible depressed victim person, like three the first 2 years, 2.5 years of this show, I was in that relationship thinking with that mentality, giving you guys advice about healthy relationships. And I mean, he was on the show talking about relationships, like I was in it. I was in it. I was in it. And I was talking to you guys about it. And so I just think that like, I bring this up to paint the picture of like how deep inside of us this is, that like you're not acknowledging it at a conscious level. Like if you had said to me when I was in that relationship, now, and you can apply this to you, like in the relationship you're in, the job that you're in, the life that you're living, like if you had said that to me at that time, you accept the love you think you deserve. I so if I'm being real honest, I think I do think that there would have been a piece of me that questioned it. Like I think there's a deep knowing that I would have admitted to myself, but that I would have thought, is this what I think I deserve? In fact, I know that to be true because I did think that, like towards the end of the relationship, which is just kind of like interesting, like as the wedding was approaching, I did think like, is this what I think I deserve? Because I would hear that, and then I just would move on with my day and ignore it and not acknowledge it. And I thought about, the physical attributes and the emotional attributes and the characteristics that like the person, my ideal dream man would have, the scenario that I would, be in, his situation, like and I knew that wasn't the person I was with, but I just ignored those thoughts basically. And so like, but if you had said that to me, I would have said to myself and whoever said it to me that, yeah, like that we have a healthy relationship, that we love each other, that I'm not vain enough to think that that other stuff matters, that he'd been dealt a heavy hand, and that he's navigating it as best he can. We're all works in progress. We're all learning, there's like, I would have had, I want to love him through that. I would have just, I have the excuse for it. And I slapped loyalty onto that. Like I would tell myself these things and defend these things and call it loyalty and being supportive. It's so funny because at the end, he totally manipulated me into believing that it was because I didn't love him unconditionally is why he ended the relationship. And it's just so silly because like, obviously I so did, you know what I mean? Like he used it because it was something we had talked about. So like he knew he could get me with it, because I used to say that I didn't believe love was conditional because there are conditions in a relationship. Like you can't be, a fucking asshole, but I mean, like no matter what he did, I did love him. So I just think that's funny. But this idea that we accept what we think we deserve is just so bizarre because like when you look back and like the other day I was getting my windshield fixed because the day before he left, he broke my windshield and dented my car. So I was just now fixing it, and I'm explaining this to someone, and they were like, why was he driving your car? And I was like, oh well, he didn't have one. And they were like, what? And I was like, that well, he like, you guys shared a car, like you guys shared the payments and stuff. And it was like, no, like I paid for the car note and the insurance. The deal that I made with him was that he would pay for the maintenance. So he always paid for gas in the car, and he got less than 5 oil changes in the years that we were driving the car. He put tires on it once. But like really, I just got screwed in that scenario, and like wouldn't just like a man want to, like wouldn't you just offer to pay? Like even if I said like, oh, I'd be paying for it anyways, like you would just pay for it. Like I would never do that. Like I would have split it with him if I was using the car, like because it would make me feel like I was more entitled to the car at that point. You know what I mean? Like even though it was that person's name on the thing. So I had to be like, yeah, no, I got scammed there too. And actually he also didn't even have a license. So like, and it was just, and the person was like, I'm confused. Like why were you with that person? And it's just like, because I had this deep belief that I didn't deserve better, that like I wouldn't have acknowledged it at the time, but I truly did. Like I had this deep rooted subconscious belief that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't have a lot of worth, even though it wasn't as bad as, other people's, or it wasn't as bad to make me this insecure, like, uh, depressed person, like because I was more self-improved than that, I didn't recognize it. And that's again why I'm like bringing up these examples, is just like how you really don't realize that the narrative that you're telling yourself in your head on a deep subconscious level is the reality that you're creating for yourself. Because when you truly, genuinely, deeply believe that you deserve better, you just won't be in those scenarios, which, again, is scary because, like, if you acknowledge those truths, then you might have to let go of relationships or jobs and make life changes. And so you don't want to do that. But obviously, like, nobody is going to, like, if you acknowledge it, if you acknowledge that truth and start to question that narrative inside of the story you're telling yourself inside your head, no one's like gonna hold you down and like force you to make the life change. Sometimes life does that for you, and thank God that does happen. But I think that the, when you question it, acknowledge it, notice it, and start to heal it, and get curious about it and understand yourself more, to gain some insight on that deep rooted belief and healing that deep rooted belief, you physically cannot stay in whatever situation you may have gotten in, or wouldn't get into a situation like that. It reminds me of like people that like don't want to work in fast food or work at Walmart. Like even if you lose your job and you need to make money, but like they are like, I'm not working at fucking Walmart. Like I'm not working in the McDonald's drive-through. Like it's not about being better than other people. It's not about those jobs being bad, but like if you feel that that's not what you deserve, that you want more for yourself, you're not going to settle for that job. When I was apartment hunting, I told you guys the story that like there were several apartments that were just like disgusting and tiny, and I'm really living in one room. And because and there was even an apartment that was really cheap in rent, but and the place was nice, laundry was right across the hall from the apartment that I would have been in, but there was parking included. Like it was really a good option, but the location was not it. Like I did not want to be in that area. And so I decided to say that I knew I deserved better, and I kept looking, and then I found this very perfect, very incredible apartment that I live in now, that I just am so grateful for. And it was for the sole purpose because I felt that I deserved better. And again, we can see that that's not woo woo magic. I just chose to believe that I deserved better. I chose to believe that there was going to be an option that would be better for me. And because I had patience and told myself that, and had that deep-rooted narrative inside of me, that I was scared to decline that place and to keep looking, but I did it, and it paid off because I thought I deserved better. And I mean, look at your life. Like, look at your relationships, your job, the opportunities that you have, your health. Like, is that reflective of the life that you want for yourself? Or does it point to the secret identity that you have about you? If your life feels misaligned, it's not because you're unlucky, or because this is just the way that life is played out for you, and like it's just the way it is and the way I'm built, and it's my it just is, that's how it is. Like I can't do anything about it. It sucks. It's not it at all. It's because of what you subconsciously believe you deserve. It's the way you subconsciously identify. It's the way you the narrative inside of your head at a deep rooted belief level is what your life will reflect. And I think of people that I've encountered in my life that they're not happy with the way that their life is, whatever. And it's very obvious from an outsider perspective that even though they might talk a big game, even though they might talk about like that they're okay and whatever it is, they're doing their best, they're working hard, they're whatever, you know that person doesn't believe those good things about themselves truly to their core. Like you know it. And we're not fucking letting ourselves be one of them. Let me give you another Neville Goddard quote, because he teaches that you cannot receive what you are not conscious of being. If you believe you are unworthy, you'll unconsciously filter out love, money, or opportunities. If you assume you're magnetic, loved, and capable, life will eventually mirror it back. And this brings us back to our simple but radical truth. Your thoughts don't just describe your world, they create it. Thoughts first, reality second. The order matters. Every thought you think is an electrical signal to your brain and your body. The feeling comes after the thought, and the reality, the action, the experience comes after the feeling. Thought, feeling, reality. Thought, feeling, reality. That's the order. Change the thought, and the whole chain reaction changes. So using our rainy day example, you have the thought of, oh, rain, depressing, heavy, sad. So then you feel heavy, low energy, depressed, and sad. And then your day then reflects those feelings. It's low energy, not doing a lot. Maybe you're isolated. You have bad feelings about it. If other things that are happening in your day happen, you're just like, oh God, another bad thing. It just isn't a good day. You just drag through your day. But if instead your thought is, ooh, this weather is so cozy, I'm so excited, it's just like so cuddly and stuff, then you have that cozy, homey, happy feeling inside of you. So then you have the energy to, and the ideas pop into your head. Okay, what do I associate with cozy, rainy weather? Is a good book and a fireplace fire and a cozy blanket, some fuzzy pajamas and socks, maybe watching a good TV show, maybe drinking your favorite warm beverage. Like, you're gonna think of the things to make it even better. And now your day is like nice and good and romanticized and cozy and happy, and you feel good. Or let's use a social example. If your thought is that you're so socially anxious, you're so socially awkward, so then your feeling is like just those tension, awkward feelings that you feel when you feel like that, like you feel like you're standing in the way, you don't know where to be, you don't know who to talk to, what am I going to say? I'm bad at holding conversation with people. I suck at small talk. So you're like freaking out and worried and feeling those anxiety feelings. So then your reality becomes you standing in the way and you stumbling over your words and you speaking without thinking first and word vomiting and saying that embarrassing thing, or that you disassociate and don't say anything at all and have no conversation because you're so afraid. And then you leave the situation and you're disappointed with how you handled it yet again. Your thoughts create feelings, and those feelings create reality. If you change your thought to, I show up confident in social situations, even if I don't always know what to say, your feelings are the confidence with permission to screw up, which gives you more confidence. It gives you more compassion for yourself. It puts you in the position of being your own friend, of being on your own side in this scenario. So you're able to go to the event believing in yourself, that you're confident, even if you don't always know exactly what to say. So then you can slow down your thoughts because you're giving yourself that compassion and actually think to say before you say it. You only speak when you actually have something to say. That words and thoughts to contribute to a conversation just come naturally. You're able to take up space in a room and not feel like you're standing in the way, because you know that you deserve to be there, that you belong there, you have worth, that you feel good about yourself. It's so freeing because you don't have to wait for reality to change in order to feel different and experience a different, better life, more in alignment with the life that you actually want to live and who you want to be in that life, how you want to perceive yourself. You change your thoughts. Like, it puts you so intensely in the power seat of your own life that you are controlling yourself and therefore able to actually live a life that you feel good about. If you wait for circumstances to change before changing your story, you'll literally be waiting forever. the work is in changing your thoughts first and watching as reality follows behind it. It's a chain reaction. So I really hope this helps clear things up with manifestation and how like you do really have a lot more power and control than you think that you might. Like any sort of thought that you have about your life that you wish to have, i- you can have because you have that thought. Like because that is in your brain, you have to like that's why like visualization is a thing because you have to deeply believe it to be true. You have to figure out what your current deep rooted belief is so that you can work to heal it and shift it more in alignment with the belief that you would need in order to attain whatever thing. And I think that through this conversation, you can see how it really is matter of fact. Like it really is pretty straightforward and very achievable, very doable for literally anybody to do this. But the reason that most people don't and that it's just, if it was that easy, everybody would be doing it is because it really comes down to your inner work and your introspection and being able to deeply understand and shift your inner belief system. And as we know, most people don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, as we know, most people stay ignorant and don't do the inner work. But obviously, all of us Wellish besties, we do this kind of shit. So, like, you are already in so much better of a position than so many people. Like, you are more of a powerful creator than you are giving yourself credit for right now. And I really want you to focus this week on shifting those thoughts and noticing just like in a very tiny way how your reality starts to change. Like I think this will make a really big difference in getting you closer to living the life that you want to live. So, with that said, I'm talking to Brandon Keith Osborne on Thursday. It'll be a really good conversation. We're talking about this concept. He was somebody that dealt with substance abuse issues. He had a lot of negative narratives that he told himself. And so his story was a little bit of a rougher one. And then has now shifted into being a photographer, a filmmaker. He's a dad, he's a husband. He nurtures those relationships and does the inner work in order to heal his wounds that caused him to be so destructive in his own life and his past. So we get to see that shift in a person in real life live action on Thursday. So it'll be a really good episode. I'm excited to share that with you guys. So, question of the week. I picked this one because we were talking about social anxiety a lot today, so I thought it was like pretty on point. It says, I really want to meet new people and build stronger friendships, but my social anxiety holds me back. I often worry about saying the wrong thing or not being interesting enough. What's one actionable thing I can start doing today to build my confidence in social situations without it feeling completely overwhelming? So, the thing that like really made your question stick out to me was you saying that you often worry about not being interesting enough. And I heard something recently that said that instead of trying to be interesting, be interested. That you shouldn't be focused on yourself, focus on the other person, the situation. And you'll recognize that your social anxiety really dissipates when you do that because the social anxiety is you're so you focused. But when people like you, when you are a good friend to them, you know what I mean? So if you focus on being selfless, I'm not saying you're being selfish by being socially anxious, but like just that you're thinking about yourself in that scenario and wanting to be interesting and wanting to say the right things and wanting them to like you and what could I do to make sure I'm better, but they'll like you if you're interested in them. They'll like you if you're focused on being a good friend to them. They'll like you if like people like to talk about themselves, like ask them questions. Something that I do, this is from my sorority experience, was we had to, when we were doing recruitment, we had to hold conversations with these girls that were coming through the recruitment process. And so one of the things that they taught us to do was to pick a word in their conversation and use that to to guide the conversation to something better. So like, let's say they say like, "Oh, yeah, for fun, I go to okay, I went to the movies with my mom on Friday." So you've got a couple options there. You've got Friday. What do you normally do with your weekends? How do you spend your free time? What are you doing this weekend coming up? What did you do last weekend? Those are some options. You've got mom. So you have your are you close with your mom? You have a good relationship with her. What is she like? Tell me about her. What do you love about her? What do you think makes your relationship with her so interesting? Or you have movies. What movie did you see? What movies do you normally watch? What movies do you like? What's your favorite movie? Have you ever seen this movie? This is a movie that I enjoy. What do you think of this? What do you think of movies that do this? How about actors? Do you have a certain actor or actress that you really like? Is there a reason that you're drawn to that person? And suddenly you're really interested in that person and now can develop a genuine, deep connection with them compared to just having this surface level connection with a person. And if at that point things are awkward and you can't develop anything deeper from that, like you guys can't hold decent conversation from that, it's because you're not in alignment. It's because you guys aren't a good friendship match. So accepting that for what it is and being able to, move on and be grateful for the space for the people that are in alignment to be in your life. So being able to like, be focused on them more so than yourself, I think has really changed how I feel in social situations and not being so anxious. If you have a question for me, I love to answer them. I love to read through all of them. My goal is to get through all of them, so keep sending them because I absolutely love reading them. And I love interacting with you guys. I just do think you're so wonderful and great. So send me your questions. The easiest way to do that is sending them to me via DM on Wellish's Instagram or TikTok. That's at Wellish Podcast. So find me there, follow me there, do all of the things. Like I said earlier, I have been posting a lot of like what I'm doing in my day-to-day life for my own self-improvement, just to kind of give you some insight and inspiration for what you can do with your day. And then obviously if you feel like following me in my life, you can follow me at sarah.rittendale on Instagram. So that's it for you today. I really enjoyed this conversation. Like kind of like took turns that I wasn't expecting. Like I wasn't anticipating to talk about like old me as much as I was like hoping to be more like forward focused and like how to make this happen. But I hope it made it enjoyable for you guys and it didn't like totally derail the conversation and make it lose its purpose. Like I hope that that was good and you connected to it. So I love you very much and I will be chatting with you again on Monday and we'll have our interview moment this Thursday. So I will look forward to seeing you guys, talking to you then. I love you. Bye. See you later.